All right, in breaking inputs coming in, what we are learning is that Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has just tendered in his resignation. This after 4 ministers from his government already have done so. This is the big breaking input, in fact, that we are getting in after 2 days of serious civil unrest that we have witnessed. What is being called as Gen Z protests. 19 youth have died in these protests, and now amid mounting pressure, what we can tell you is that Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has quit. Remember, this is also after the Gen Z protesters made that key demand that the Prime Minister must resign and that there should be fresh elections. As far as the ban on social media platforms is concerned, that is only being called as a trigger to the overall situation in Nepal, which of course is more to do with corruption and the authoritarian regime of KP Sharma Oli. Zaka joins me with more inputs on that breaking story. Zaka.
Huge development. The Nepalese Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, who is in his third term, who's been Prime Minister over a little over a year now, has just put in his papers. That's the word that we're getting from Nepal media, that KP Sharma Oli, who had become the sort of target of these young protesters. The protests, like my colleague was reporting a moment ago, was initially the trigger was around social media and the ban on social media. But now it's a huge development. The Nepalese Prime Minister has tendered his resignation. He has gone to the President's house and given his resignation to the President. He had called for an all-party meeting later this evening where we're given to understand that he will make this official. He will officially say this to all the parties concerned. And remember, our key coalition partner, the RSP party, which had 21 members of the National Assembly, they had tendered in their resignation. 4 ministers had put in their resignation papers as well. This is a huge, huge development. There was also reportedly a meeting that happened between the Nepalese Prime Minister, Mr. Oli, and the army chief. And the army chief reportedly told him that he has no option but to step down and that he will be assured of some kind of safe passage. Look at the pictures over the last 2 days that we saw. Yesterday, hundreds of thousands of young protesters, nicknamed the Gen Z protesters, they came down, they stormed the Nepalese Parliament building. Today, the houses of the Prime Minister, the former Prime Minister, Mr. Dioba, the former Prime Minister, Mr. Prachanda, all these being razed and set on fire by these young protesters because they were sick and tired of the status quo of politics in Nepal over the last 30 years, which was literally a revolving door of politics between Mr. Dioba, Mr. Prachanda and Mr. Oli over the last many years. This was a signal from the youth of Nepal that they are sick and tired of this politics of status quo. They want a new politics, and therefore they went after these individuals, their private homes, which were set on fire. You can see those choppers airlifting ministers out of their official residences, giving them safe passage, taking them to safer areas. And clearly, at some point earlier today, it was clear to the Nepal army that this political sort of dispensation cannot continue anymore, and that the current Prime Minister needs to tender in his resignation. He has now put in his papers. He will officially announce this in the all-party meeting later this evening. Let me go across to my colleague Siddhant, who joins me. Siddhant, this is a huge, huge development. This has ramifications for the wider region as well. Any word you're picking up from the MEA? Is there any statement from the government of India? Even, I'm sure they will be closely watching developments in Nepal, but it's been pretty dramatic. Just in the last 48 hours, the series of protests that we've seen by these young people, Gen Z protesters, who had wanted the ban on social media to be lifted, but it metamorphosized into something much, much bigger against corruption, against dynastic politics, against the status quo politics that we've seen in Nepal since the fall of the monarchy almost 30 years ago. Just walk us through what is the latest that you're picking up.
Well, that's right, Zaka. This was in the making from a very long time. In fact, Zaka, I was in regular touch with the journalists in Nepal. Perhaps, there was a lot of anger, a lot of unrest as far as this particular government is concerned. And the Nepal has seen more than 18 governments in last 25 years, Zaka. And perhaps, the youth unemployment, and the cost of living, corruption, nepotism. There were a lot of issues, and perhaps the ban, the social media ban, was a trigger point on after the protest it started. As far as KP Oli's position is concerned, Zaka, he was never India's favorite, to be very honest and frank with you. In fact, he was always seen as somebody who has been cozying up with Beijing. In fact, he has been asking time from the Indian government since the last 6 months, to the best of my information, but he was not given time for a state visit to India. So he was never close to India, all because of his policies, his failed policies, and also Indian government is still monitoring the situation on ground. In fact, they are very cautious while issuing the official statement. They have asked the authorities to exercise restraint, and what we've been told that they are closely monitoring the situation on ground. But as you were highlighting, Zaka, that choppers are ready at the airport. Many of these ministers have been airlifted. In fact, I have also been told by authorities on ground at in fact, I did manage to speak to the airport staff. So the airport has been shut, Zaka, only so that these ministers can fly out of the country. So their choppers are ready, and one by one these ministers are reaching airport, and they are being airlifted, and they could fly to some other countries. So that's the plan.
So I just want to bring our viewers up to speed. Let's play those pictures here on the big video wall. These are the last seen pictures of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli of Nepal. You can see him there along with a posse of other officials, ministers. There are some people dressed in army uniform as well. This is the last known set of pictures that we have of the Nepalese Prime Minister. You can see him flanked on either side by officials of the Nepal government. He's walking away. The word that we have got is a military chopper, which will safely escort him and his family members, has landed at the top of his private residence, which has landed in a place called Baluwatar, from where this chopper will take him to a safe passage. It will take him to a safe area. There you see the chopper that has landed there, which will take the Nepalese Prime Minister, who's now tendered in his resignation, Mr. KP Sharma Oli. He's being given safe passage. Where he's going to be taken to, we don't know. Will he be in Nepal itself in some kind of a safe sanctuary? Will he be flown out of the country? Will he be given safe passage to another country? This is almost reminiscent of what we saw in Bangladesh just last year, in August of last year, when Sheikh Hasina was ousted from power after being in office for 16 long years. She was removed rather unceremoniously, again in very, very strikingly similar pictures, put in a helicopter and then brought to India. Mr. Oli, of course, never had any great ties with India. He was seen much more closer to the Communist Party of China, much more seen as the Chinese man in Nepal. Whether he will be taken to China or will he be given safe sanctuary somewhere in Nepal itself, we don't know that yet. Rose Kandel is a protester who's now joining us live. What is the latest you're hearing, ma'am? We have word from Nepalese media that the Nepalese Prime Minister, Mr. KP Sharma Oli, has tendered in his resignation. What are you hearing there?
Yes, we have just now received information that the Prime Minister has resigned from his post. However, what Nepali people are caring the most and want the most is justice for the people who were murdered, for the young kids who were murdered in school uniforms, wearing backpacks, wearing IDs. I was in the protest myself, and I had young people, high school students asking me, Didi, if I wear school uniforms, they're not going to do anything to me, right? So I can go, right? And then I had to hesitate. But after a few hours, we got the news that those kids were shot in the head, in the chest. There were so many steps that the country had to go through before pulling the bullet. But we do not, the Nepali citizens, we don't care that they have just resigned. It does fulfill one of our requirements. However, we still want justice for these people who have directly authorized the usage of heavy weaponry against young children, against young kids. We deserve justice for these people, and we want more. We want the international authorities to investigate this, to put the people in the bars, and resignation itself isn't enough.
All right, Rose, just stay on with us. I want to go back to those pictures. So now we can confirm to you that the Nepalese Prime Minister, Mr. KP Sharma Oli, has tendered in his resignation. These are images that you saw moments ago from outside his residence. A part of his residence was also set on fire. There are protesters who have set on fire the residence of former Prime Minister Mr. Dioba, former Prime Minister Mr. Prachanda, and of course the current Prime Minister who's just put in his papers. They have set on fire Mr. Oli's part of his residence as as well. These are the last pictures that we saw of Mr. KP Sharma Oli along with his family. You can see military officials, other government officials escorting him. And the word that we have got is that an army chopper has landed at his residence at Bulawatar, and from there him and his family are being given safe passage. They are likely to be taken, we are told, to the army headquarters as a temporary measure, and then from there he will be given safe sanctuary. We don't know if it's going to be inside Nepal or whether he's going to be moved out of Nepal and taken to a different country, much like what happened with Sheikh Hasina exactly last year, in August of last year. So in exactly about a year, a little over a year, what we saw play out in Bangladesh. Again, it was young people who protested against the Hasina government. This is the resignation letter of Mr. KP Sharma Oli. It's obviously written in Nepali language. It talks about how Mr. Prime Minister of Nepal, Mr. KP Sharma Oli, because of the prevailing situation in Nepal, is putting up his resignation. He is officially resigning. You can see the word Rajinama, which of course is resignation, both in Hindi and in Nepali. He's now put in his papers. It's been signed, KP Sharma Oli. It's dated today, which is the 9th of September 2025, that constitutionally he's now stepping down as the Prime Minister of Nepal. He has tendered in his resignation, standing down as Prime Minister. But as Rose Kandel, the protester there, the young lady, was saying, that it's not just about KP Sharma Oli or the senior ministers resigning. 4 ministers tendered in their resignation: the Home Minister, the Agriculture Minister, the Sports Minister. But it's also about justice for the 19 kids who were killed in police and law enforcement firing yesterday. They were protesting. What started off, the trigger was the social media ban. It's much more than that. It was a sort of fight against the systemic problems, whether it is corruption, unemployment, all kinds of systemic problems, the status quo politics that the young people in Nepal have seen for the last 30 years. They were sort of ranting against it. They were venting out their frustration against it. And the social media ban happened to be the last straw, because that was one place where they could vent out their frustration. When that got banned, that became the straw that broke the camel's back. Let me go back to Rose Kandel. Rose, is there any latest information you can share with us in terms of where the Prime Minister will be going? Is he being given safe passage to a different country? Is he going to be kept in the army headquarters? And who is likely to take over the government now? What happens now? What happens next?
Yes, so we have had reports of video sightings of army helicopters rescuing these ministers from their place of residence. While we do not have exact report of where they are going, our assumption is that they will be fleeing to India and other neighboring countries. And it is our humble request that the government not take them in, but please give us justice. Give these kids who are murdered by them justice. Just resigning and fleeing away is not going to do justice, and we do not know the exact place of destination, but our assumption is India. As per the power vacuum that has now been created, what Nepali citizens are wanting is the mayor of Kathmandu Metropolitan to step into the Prime Minister's office and take over. Mr. Balendra Shah has been reported as one of the most integrity-based mayor that we have ever seen. He has done various great works to help our country and has done a lot benefiting the Nepali citizens and has won the hearts of many Nepali citizens. We have trust in him. We have faith in him. We believe that there needs to be a free election for the next Prime Minister. However, for right now, interim Prime Minister, we believe that Mr. Balendra Shah will play a perfect role. There are other candidates as well, but as for right now, in order to fulfill the power vacuum, we were wanting him on the post.
All right, Rose Kandel, thank you very much for joining us, and we will be in touch with you over the next few days in what is a dramatic last few days for Nepal with these dramatic protests. I also want to go across to Mr. Ramesh Tripathi, who is a journalist who's been covering Nepal. Hitesh Tripathi, who's been covering Nepal. Mr. Tripathi, can you tell us, what is the latest that you're hearing? Yes, Mr. Oli has tendered in his resignation. Do we know where he's being taken to, and what happens next in this political vacuum? कोई और प्रधानमंत्री का दावेदार सामने आ रहा है. What do the protesters want?
नहीं, अभी तो कोई दावेदार सामने नहीं आ रहा है, लेकिन ओली के राजीनामे के बाद निश्चित रूप से अब इसके लिए मार्ग प्रशस्त हो चुका है कि अब नए प्रधानमंत्री के लिए जो राष्ट्रपति हैं वो आह्वान कर सकते हैं। इसलिए यह एक महत्वपूर्ण जानकारी है, महत्वपूर्ण प्रगति है नेपाल का जो ये आंदोलन हो रहा है उसको लेकर। और ओली ने आज ही प्रधानमंत्री ओली ने अभी राजीनामा दिया है, तो करीब करीब आधी घंटा भी नहीं हुआ है उसका।
इनका डिमांड्स क्या है? जो यंग लोग जो युवा प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, जेन जी जो प्रोटेस्ट इसको बुलाया जा रहा है, क्या है इनका डिमांड्स?
जेनजी का डिमांड जो है अभी आपको दिख रहा होगा कि सोशल मीडिया को बैन की वजह से ये लोग प्रतिक्रिया में आए हैं, लेकिन यह एक तो छोटा सा कारण है जिसे ट्रिगर हुआ, लेकिन बड़ा कारण यह है कि नेपाल में जो बीती मतलब वो है थोड़ा अनस्टेबिलिटी है, उसके वजह से यहाँ पे ये लोग आक्रोशित हैं। यहाँ पे गवर्नमेंट तो है, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट जो सर्विस को डिलीवरी करना चाहिए वो नहीं कर पाती है। और
ये इनका आक्रोश किसके खिलाफ है? क्या ओली के सरकार के खिलाफ है? आज हमने ये भी देखा कि पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री जो थे द्योबा, उनके घर पे भी आग जलाया गया, प्रचंड के घर पे भी आग जलाया गया। क्या सिस्टम के खिलाफ इनका आक्रोश है?
नहीं, इसको सिस्टम के खिलाफ आक्रोश नहीं, लेकिन सिस्टम को जो लोग ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं उनके खिलाफ इनका आक्रोश है। और आक्रोश इसलिए है कि कोई भी गवर्नमेंट स्टेबल नहीं रह पाती है। यहाँ पे आप देखेंगे कि पार्लियामेंट का जो सबसे बड़ी पार्टी है वह जो है प्रतिपक्ष से मिलकर यहाँ पे सरकार बनाई हुई है। थोड़ा सा अटपटा सा लगता है सुनने में अपने आप में। तो वह सरकार भी डिलीवर नहीं कर पा रही है, वो सरकार भी महंगी को नियंत्रण नहीं कर पा रही है, वो सरकार भी यहाँ पे इनएम्प्लॉयमेंट को मतलब लोगों को रोजगारी देने के काम नहीं कर पा रही है, और लोग विदेश पलायन हो रहे हैं। इसको लेकर आक्रोश है, महंगाई को लेकर लोगों को आक्रोश है। और
क्या अभी तक कोई जानकारी है मिस्टर त्रिपाठी कि ओली साहब को कहां लेके जाएंगे? मतलब नेपाल में ही रखेंगे या कोई दूसरे देश में उनको सेफ पैसेज दिया जाएगा? कोई जानकारी है?
नहीं, देश छोड़ने की बात जो है तो सोशल मीडिया तक ही सीमित है, कोई आधिकारिक पुष्टि इसकी नहीं हुई कि वो देश छोड़ना चाह रहे हैं। लेकिन जैसे कि यहाँ के मंत्री लोग जो एक ही जगह पे रहते थे, मंत्री क्वार्टर्स जो गवर्नमेंट क्वार्टर है उसको खाली कर दिया गया है, और लोगों आंदोलनकारियों ने उसे आग का हवाले कर दिया है, और मंत्रियों को ले जाकर शिफ्ट किया गया है। यहाँ पे नेपाली सेना का एक बैरक है, उसको
सेना के बैरक में। ओके, Mr. Tripathi, please stay with us. I want to bring back that resignation letter, the letter that Mr. Oli tendered in his resignation today to the president. Remember, there was a meeting between him and the army chief as well, where the army chief literally told him that the writing on the wall is clear. The students, the Gen Z protesters want you to step down, and this is the resignation letter written by Mr. Oli. You can see the undersigned there, KP Sharma Oli, Pradhan Mantri, and he says he's giving in his resignation, Rajinama Deke Chu, which means he's giving his resignation letter sorry, to the president of Nepal. This is the latest. KP Sharma Oli, who's been a long-serving Prime Minister of Nepal, he's been in his office in the current term since 2024, since the middle of 2024, in what was a very uncertain, unstable arrangement where the two leading parties, the main ruling party and the main opposition party, together were in a coalition. It was a sort of an unprecedented situation, but the government had been in office for the last year or so. He's now put in his papers, he's resigned after these massive protests over the last 48 hours. Gen Z, young people storming the Parliament building yesterday. Today they set on fire the residences of Mr. Oli, who stepped down as Prime Minister, the residence of former Prime Minister Mr. Dioba, the residence of the former Prime Minister Mr. Prachanda, who is the head of the Maoist party. All of their residences, private residences included, were set on fire. You can see the huge crowds who are there. This, of course, is not in Kathmandu. This is in another part of Nepal. So clearly, the people who had come to embodify the Nepalese political system over the last 20, 30 years against all of those individuals and their properties. There were demonstrations today. Some of those properties were set on fire as well. But the big story right now, KP Sharma Oli, Prime Minister of Nepal, has tendered in his resignation. An army chopper has evacuated him and his immediate family members. They've taken him reportedly to the army barracks or the army headquarters, where he will be kept in safe custody for a while for an interim arrangement. And thereafter, whether he will be given safe passage to another city in Nepal, or whether he will be taken away to another country, a friendly third country, we don't know that yet. But he has put in his papers. Clearly, the protesters see this as a huge victory, no doubt about it. Now the question arises, who steps into this political vacuum? You heard a protester there, Rose, telling us a moment ago that the current mayor of Kathmandu, they see as one of the politicians who has immense amount of integrity, and they would like him to step in as interim prime minister. We don't know. There are many factors at play. One of the critical factors is also a key coalition partner, a party called the RSP. Today withdrew support. They had 21 MPs today withdrew support to the Oli government, and thereby it became clear to Mr. Oli that his continuance as Prime Minister had become untenable. He needs to step down. Let me go back to Mr. Tripathi. ये बताइए कि अगला प्रधानमंत्री, even if it's an interim arrangement, interim प्रधानमंत्री भी बनेंगे, तो कौन बनेगा? कोई speculation है इसके बारे में?
कोई नाम और आकलन अभी सामने नहीं आया है, लेकिन इस पोजीशन में जो है नेपाल के जो राष्ट्रपति हैं वह कॉल करेंगे नया उसके लिए, प्रधानमंत्री के लिए, और प्रधानमंत्री को एक निश्चित अवधि के भीतर में उनको बहुमत सिद्ध करना होगा। तो अभी अगला स्टेप है, इसके लिए कोई नाम अभी सामने नहीं आया है। और बालेन का नाम जो आना आपने अभी कहा न्यूज के दौरान, जो यहाँ के बालेंद्र शाह जो हैं काठमांडू के मेयर, वो काफी लोकप्रिय हैं और इस आंदोलन के पीछे उनका कहीं ना कहीं नैतिक समर्थन रहा है। उनके लोग आंदोलनकारियों को मदद करते हुए दिखे हैं, तो इसलिए उनका नाम आ रहा है। लेकिन अभी सिस्टम उनको कैसे पहुंचा पाएगी यह नहीं हो पाएगा, मुझे नहीं लगता कि ये संभव है। लेकिन
आपने अभी सुना एक प्रोटेस्टर जो यंग लड़की थी, वो ये भी बता रही थी कि वो जो चाहते हैं कि अगला चुनाव हो जाए और चुनाव में कोई नया पार्टी आ जाए या काठमांडू मेयर का पार्टी अगर वो जीत जाए, दे वांट अ न्यू पॉलिटिकल डिस्पेंसेशन। उनको नहीं चाहिए जो लोग पिछले 20-25 साल से नेपाल में राज कर रहे हैं, चाहे देवबा हो, चाहे प्रचंडा हो, चाहे ओली हो।
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ये बहुत लंबा समय से एक ही चेहरे जो है नेपाल में रिपीटली आ रहे हैं सरकार में। इसको लेकर लोगों को नाराजगी है। नाराजगी इसलिए कि लोग काम भी डिलीवर नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। जो आर्थिक वृद्धि दर चाहिए नेपाल को हासिल नहीं हुआ है, महंगाई पे नियंत्रण नहीं हुआ है, रोजगारी नहीं बढ़ पाई है, लोगों का पलायन नहीं रुक पाया है, और शैक्षिक संस्था जो है वो ठीक से काम नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। यहाँ के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट में खास प्रोग्रेस नहीं हो पा रहा है। इसको लेकर लोगों को मेरा नाराजगी है। तो निश्चित रूप में यही लोग फिर से दोबारा ये लोग नहीं चाहेंगे।
ये भी कहा जा रहा था कि ओली साहब जो हैं वो चाइना के काफी करीबी हैं। क्या इसमें कुछ और इंटरनेशनल रैमिफिकेशंस भी होगा? भारत भी देख रहा है कि क्या हो रहा है नेपाल में। नेपाल हैज सीन अनरेस्ट इन द पास्ट एज वेल। 2006 में भी हुआ था, 1990s में भी हुआ था, और अभी हो रहा है 2025 में।
नहीं, नेपाल में तो बाहरी हस्तक्षेप रहा है ना जी। और खास करके चीन का जो इंटरेस्ट पिछले समय में बढ़ा हुआ है संविधान निर्माण के प्रक्रिया के बाद से, जो है यह दिखता है कहीं ना कहीं चीन सरकार के और चाइनीज दूतावास के सक्रियता में यहाँ के दो बड़ी पार्टी नेकपा एमाले और प्रचंड नेतृत्व का जो पार्टी है माओवादी, उसका एकीकरण भी हुआ था एक बार, लेकिन वो सफल नहीं हो पाया। वो ज्यादा दिन तक नहीं चल पाए। तो बारंबार प्रयास रहता है चीन का कि यहाँ पे उनकी पसंद की पार्टी जो है सरकार में आए और पावर में आए।
रितेश त्रिपाठी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए। दैट्स अ इंडियन जर्नलिस्ट हु इज ट्रैकिंग द डेवलपमेंट्स इन नेपाल, ब्रिंगिंग अस द लेटेस्ट। सो वंस अगेन, इफ यू जस्ट